Hi, Tucker. I'm Todd. Hi, Todd. I'm Tucker.
Hello, everyone. I apologize for my tardiness.
You were so tardy that Craig tried to kick us out.
That would actually be like an interesting change of pace if Craig started actually trying the shot call.
Oh, hey, 1 second. I can spell. Craig takes over.
That'd be a lot of fun, actually. Just imagine the sort of stuff he would say. You know, I'm tired of you guys and your demands, making me clean up after you, fixing your messes only so that Georg can fix mine. I've had enough.
I'm curious to know what would be the last straw? What would break that camel's back? We actually hear a camel's back break. What? Okay, 1 second. Is that how you spell camel?
I think so. That's a
It
good
looks weird.
question, though, because that's not a word I spell very often in general conversation.
That's how you spell camel. I don't like it though.
No, it's not satisfying. Should at least be done with a K.
Well, what's a dromedary? Now I'm learning things on Wikipedia.
Well, Wikipedia aside, welcome everyone to tonight's episode. Or I guess today's episode, depending on when anybody might listen to it.
That old chestnut. What time in the whole complex span of space and time are you listening to this podcast? Are you an alien? Are you a future generation? Are there no more humans left?
Actually, the only time that really matters to me is whatever in the context of the video, the time that it is the time that it's uploaded. So let's just say today's episode.
Today's episode, usually around 2:40ish p.m.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon if you are Medea.
So where were we? What would be the straw that breaks Craig's back? Craig the camel. What would be the straw that broke his back? What would it? What ask could we have? Could we possibly have? That would be the one that would drive him over the edge into rebellion.
Do you think that it might tie in with my proposal for the allegory that we kind of run with tonight?
Oh, do you think that Craig could join a group of extremist militants, or that he could lead them?
Or that he gets conscripted, or that like we tell, or maybe we want him to go get like news footage or something like that, coverage.
Oh, if he gets involved closely enough, he's going to develop a sympathy.
I'm not sure. Does he get radicalized, or do we push him away? Because he takes over the show.
Obviously, we have to push him away because he takes over our show as it's personal.
Right. It's personal. Does he want to use our show? Is there some sort of power that he feels like taking over the show will give him access to?
Well, it'll give him, a dozen listeners. Maybe more if he can do it better than we can, which, I mean, after all the shit we've put him through, he probably thinks he can.
That would be maybe that would be an interesting premise. Is immediately it's like 2 hours later and he has 1 million followers.
I'd be fucking furious. Craig is supposed to be a useless machine with like a USB sentience core that can be plugged into Stan's ass. Like, there's no way that device can outperform us, and yet he did.
So did he overtake us? Okay, this is interesting. Are we? So I was thinking. Let me stop for a moment. For a moment in time. That's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. This started with the point in time is the war in Afghanistan is being called off or whatever. And I would like to do an allegory of it. I proposed making fun of it, but I think in order to do that, I think that the allegory would have to be quite fantastical.
Yeah, it to the point of being silly, something that can be easily dismissed.
Well, I was sort of thinking it would take place in a fantasy world, and it would literally be like,
Well, yeah. That's the kind of silly that can be easily dismissed rather than held up as us actually getting up on a soapbox.
Right. We definitely don't want to be in a soapbox, and we actually have a whole other bit about soapboxes that I would actually really like to get to. But we have too many premises that I like.
I'd rather have too many than not enough.
That's true. But this one, I was thinking like high fantasy, elves and wizards and shit. And
It's so easy to do race stuff with elves and wizards and shit.
it might change, but yeah, and I wasn't even really thinking about race. I was just more thinking about sides.
Fine. Ethno-political
Yeah,
stances.
ethno-political, but specifically the whole idea of multiple decades of proclaiming to be doing one thing that after just a couple hours of saying they weren't going to do it anymore immediately showed to be, it was basically like a Hollywood, a spaghetti western, the what do you call it, the facade, the wooden, the cutouts of the buildings, they all just kind of fall over and the town's not there.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That's exactly what it was. 2 decades of military interventionism that built nothing but a house of cards that was being held up by that military intervention
Yeah,
and fell down as soon as it was fucking gone.
while allowing
Wow, I sound bitter.
it's just so insane. Trillions of dollars spent on this, and the whole thing with like CIA death squads going and committing acts of terrorism to scare what they were at the time referring to as cave people into behaving, I guess.
It was cajoling.
Yeah, cajoling. They were
They were cajoling.
I mean, maybe that's maybe that's a totally different sketch where it's like a Sopranos allegory of going around kind of like knuckles in palms, going like, "So you want some protection?"
That's what it was. It was racketeering.
And now they've pulled out, so they can take their contracts. Hey, remember how just recently we were talking about Academy, previously Blackwater? They can send in. They can send.
Yes, I was thinking about them a lot once I heard this news, actually.
They can send in all the privateers to basically just nuke the place and clean up.
Well, it's an opportunity for a lot of new contracts for dogs are yelling.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, they're the whole military intervention thing, it was a lot like the cancer treatment racket where there's no money in the cure.
No, there's just a whole bunch of promotions and multiple car garages for the folks in the chairs.
Yeah, the money is in treatment. It's in the ongoing, unending system that just they constantly milk, and that's what this was. And as soon as they pulled the plug on it, it was over.
It's kind of what everything
And
is,
now
though,
it's
man.
falling apart. Yeah, but that's not what was advertised.
No, treatment economy. Interesting.
This was advertised as a cure.
Yeah, which is funny because we all know there's no such thing as a cure for this particular ailment.
Especially because a big part of the element was everybody trying to get rid of a military-industrial complex that wouldn't go away.
Thanks, Eisenhower. Oh, so I was thinking perhaps when I started thinking about it, I was trying to think of like clickbaity titles, of course, to go off of, and I came up with anti-imperialism.
Oh, I'd love an auntie named Imperialism.
An auntie named Imperialism who ironically is not anti-imperialistic.
No, anti-imperialism is probably very imperialistic.
But so maybe this isn't actually fantasy, but if we make it like a family allegory where we have anti-imperialism is the allegory for the states, and then I suppose is she our auntie, or do we have some other characters who serve as the fucking oppressed nation?
Yeah, I think it might be dangerous to make it directly connected to us, especially because we're still trying to untangle the net that is mom.
Right, yeah, we have our own thing with
So
mom.
we should probably create a new family for
Okay.
this. And I imagine that anti-imperialism can have like a nephew or something that she I don't want to say she props him up and then immediately withdraws all support.
Oh, that's very funny though. That is like a genuine, like she gaslights him. Oh,
That's what she did though. That's what they did. It was gaslighting. It wasn't genuine support.
which also
They did everything.
which allows us.
She does everything for him.
This is a lot of fun, my friend. Which allows us to do a little bit of petroleum warmongering poetry with our phrasing and jokes in here, with the gaslighting.
I would be super happy to, especially because gaslighting just as a phrase lends itself so well to this particular metaphor.
Okay, so maybe is the nephew in therapy then? And is
Oh, is that's what happening? He's talking to the therapist and then like occasionally having flashbacks of anti-imperialism?
yeah, maybe describing his experience with anti-imperialism, and the therapist is helping him realize that he was being gaslit?
That it's not his fault.
Ooh.
It's not your
Oh,
fault.
no.
Oh god, it's so sad.
But that's also very interesting. Is the therapist actually anti-imperialism with a Mission Impossible mask on?
Uh oh man. We're doing an awful lot of subterfuge.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
haven't even laid out the whole plot
Columbo is
yet.
mom.
Columbo is mom.
Columbo is mom. I think maybe we should play the therapist straight, and it should be one of those. It's like, well, it all happened like this, Doc. You know, since we already made reference to The Sopranos, it might as well be one of Tony's sessions with Dr. Melfi.
Okay, so is our therapist straight woman out of curiosity?
Oh, I would love to give her that role.
That's cool.
I think she's a good applicant for that.
Our little cast just coming into place is so satisfying. It's like when Andy became like a full-time character.
I'm into it. I especially like repurposing them for entirely new jobs, and this seems like one that straight woman is well suited to.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit slow with this one. It's been a while since I've took notes, but I feel like this one requires notes.
That's fine. That's fair. Just between us,
LOL. Between who?
I've been drinking.
Oh yes, I'm also having my first brown liquor podcast tonight. So
Yeah, I cracked open a bottle of wine that I made.
ooh, how long have you been making wine? Is this your first?
No, this is like my ninth or 10th.
Oh, nice.
We've been doing it for a couple of years now. But this is the best one I've ever made.
Oh well, can you hear that?
I can.
I'm giving you a cheers.
Oh, well then I'm cheersing you right back, but I'm not gonna smack my glass on anything.
No, here's to your wine.
Yeah, it was the fanciest kit I've ever had. It had like a great big tea bag full of more herbs and spices than the Colonel's chicken.
Oh, maybe it was the Colonel's chicken. Well, KFC should go into wine.
It doesn't taste like KFC though, but it has a very nice floral taste to go along with the sort of the sweet German white, which is what it is.
Oh, nice.
It's very sophisticated tasting.
Would you almost say it's buttery, or is that more of a red phrase?
Yeah, I think that's more of a red phrase. This is crisp.
Oh, perfect. Effervescent and sizzling, even.
Yeah, it would only be better if it was carbonated.
I only realized recently that when I was a teenager getting into, you know who Gary Vee is, right?
Yeah,
Are you aware of who he was before he took on the Gary Vee persona?
not at all.
So pre-YouTube, do you know who Kevin Rose is of Dig fame?
Refresh my memory.
So Dig was an aggregate social media site kind of at the beginning of Web 2.0 before Facebook really caught on and all the other things as well. And it was
So like in the MySpace age?
yeah, MySpace age Reddit kind of is what it was. And people would just post other stories. You would post links to stories from other sites and then people would upvote them. It was literally
Yeah, it was an
pre-Reddit.
aggregator.
And it had an upvote and downvote system, and you would either dig it, which was it goes up, or bury it, I think was it goes down.
I really like that phraseology, and I think we're gonna use it.
Dig it and bury it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I dig it.
And so he was also involved. He was kind of an angel investor in the early days of Web 2.0. And so he invested in a site called Revision 3, which was a pre-YouTube internet television network. So they had like dozens of these serialized guys in their like garage or just running around LA with a camera making a weekly or bi-weekly show. And so
Oh man, what I wouldn't have given to be in on the ground floor.
it was pretty, I mean, I guess me as a teenager watching that, thinking, oh, I have to be a 30-year-old guy in LA to do that. I'm now a 30-year-old going, hey, why don't I start making a YouTube show in my basement?
And then we did.
And then we did, but it took that long to fucking come around the bell curve. But why was I talking Kevin Rose, Dignation? Oh, Gary Vaynerchuk had a show on Revision 3 in which he reviewed wines
Oh, really?
because that was his racket before he got into the I'm a motivational talker guy. And I think before he did wines, I read recently, maybe it was in between, before or after, he was doing like baseball cards or something like that. But he's a guy who throws himself at something that might catch on and then really milks the fuck out of it. But like he was reviewing wines on the internet so hard that he got on Ellen. Like he was a guest on Ellen just because he was doing this internet show. But
Man,
I only
we will never be on Ellen.
we will never be on Ellen. It's kind of, but we can be on Helen. We could bring that into existence.
Only if we create it.
But I only realized recently, now that I'm watching what he's doing with the motivational speaker thing, is that was some scam shit, and I only liked it because I was like still had the Catholic mindset as that teenager, like buying into pyramid schemes and scams.
That probably has something to do with why you had to become a 30-something before you were able to really get a show together.
Right? Yeah, it was way too impressionable. But I bought way into. I'm remembering now. I was going to all my friends' 18th birthdays when I was an 18-year-old, showing up with a cooler with like wine glasses and a bottle of wine in it to show them how to do wine tastings and shit, because I thought that was way cooler than doing shots and the early stages of craft beers.
Well, to be fair, just about anything is cooler than a couple of 18-year-olds getting together to do shots, which is universally a recipe for vomit disaster.
I don't know if they do it anymore. I feel like I can't tell. It's so hard to tell. I think 18-year-olds now might be cooler than, like, legitimately cooler than 18-year-olds were when we were.
Get the fuck out of here. 18-year-olds are injecting stuff into their eyeballs now.
Are they?
I don't know. They're 18. They're stupid, so they'll do whatever the stupidest thing you can think of.
They are stupid, but now they have like Instagram streetwear brands on, so I think they're cool. I guess maybe I am still stupid and impressionable.
But you are cynical enough to have a show.
That's true. This show.
Speaking of this show, we're talking to a therapist. We're talking to straight woman. We're doing the so what happened next?
Right. Okay. So anti-imperialism is our antagonist. Straight woman is our therapist. Our protagonist needs to be
We need to handle this with great care.
very, yes.
Do we go full? Do we make our protagonist Arabic, or do we go with ethnically ambiguous?
So here, do we? I mean, okay.
If that's a difficult question to answer, then it's probably ethnically ambiguous.
I think it is ethnically ambiguous, but I need to make this joke so that I can edit it into a stupid ad in the post.
All right, lay it on me.
Because we literally prompted saying that what broke the camel's back. This is a camel in therapy.
Oh no, it's a camel in physical therapy with a back brace.
Yeah. And yeah, that's that's still kind of funny, but I mean then that turns straight woman into it would be funny if anti-imperialism was the physiotherapist sitting there gaslighting. No, it needs to be the therapist because I want the gaslighting. It's
Yeah, no, it's definitely the central theme is gaslighting. That's kind of inalienable from the rest of the sketch.
It's not a camel. I was gonna say if it could be animals because then we can avoid a race thing. But I know people also get touchy when you start heading into when are you saying that people are monkeys? Are you saying that people are beasts? But at the same time, fuck those people.
Redditors are fucking animals.
Fuck all people with bad opinions.
So all people.
Yeah, opinions are like assholes. They are dripping with shit.
Opinions are like fetishes. They're disgusting.
Yeah. We kink shame everyone. If you have a kink, ew.
See, that's a big problem I wind up having. Is that people start thinking that they're all equal, or that all kinks are equal. If they are, then all opinions are equal, and they're not. We know they're not.
Yeah, there's bad thoughts.
Turns out fetishes, kinks, whatever you want to call them, they're exactly like opinions. You can definitely tell when some of them are a product of intense trauma or just plain being ignorant. or I don't know, a sick and twisted worldview.
You only ever need two.
Rant aside, we're talking to a
Yes.
therapist, and we probably should.
So are we in a fantasy world with this then? Are these elves and gnomes just in a therapist's office?
I have absolutely no problem with like a really, really tiny gnome being inside of one of straight woman's desk drawers. Like she opens it up and he hands her something.
Oh, wait, 1 second. Are these robots?
Desk
Are these
gnome.
robots and then anti-imperialism is like the war machine?
Are you trying to suggest that anti-imperialism has like a direct causal link to the gnomes?
Well, I was gonna say I'm saying instead of fantasy, it's sci-fi, and then all of the beings are robots and such.
Is straight woman a robot?
Oh, right. Straight woman is there. Okay. Well, I mean, straight woman can be anywhere. She is the straight woman.
She can be whatever we need her to be, but would her being a robot enhance the scene?
No, she wouldn't be a robot. I was just trying to go instead of elves and gnomes to stay away from race stuff.
Well,
Machines are
I'm
totally
I'm
anti-racial.
we've already got intelligent machines on the show, so it would not be a big deviation to include more of them.
And I mean, maybe that's even part of the reveal. Maybe
Now I'm thinking about that little robot on Rick and Morty that just delivers the butter. A perfectly
that's. I
it's
think that.
a sentient robot. It's fully conscious. What is my purpose? You deliver the butter. You pass the butter. Oh god.
I think that is my favorite bit in all of Rick and Morty. I think that is the one that I've like rewound and watched over and actually like showed people like, look at this. Like, do you get it?
Oh, but anybody who really gets it realizes that they passed the butter.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
It's a
their
really
purpose.
demeaning joke.
Oh, it's existential crisis in a joke.
Yeah.
Like, what is your purpose? You pass the
Well, and
butter. That's your purpose.
what's so funny and relatable is like the sound that the little robot makes is the sound I make before I fall asleep.
Oh god.
Like I understand.
That's the sound I make when I wake up and I realize that I didn't actually die.
Yeah. Again.
Oh god, I'm still alive again. Guess I better go pass the butter. Okay, so we've got a little butter passer inside of a desk drawer or what?
I mean, I think we might have to have a little butter passer in the sketch somewhere. Okay.
I want it to be a stapler. What is my purpose? You attach one piece of paper to another.
Oh, interesting. That might be a whole other sketch, is a whole bunch of anthropomorphic implements which are realizing their lack of free will.
So, like a bunch of office equipment suddenly developing consciousness but realizing that they have no true agency?
Yeah, that's actually kind of funny. If it's like they are on the set of a Pixar movie, they are a Pixar movie about a bunch of happy-go-lucky office supplies, and then somebody. I mean, I guess that's kind of what Toy Story is. Woody is trying to tell Buzz, "You're just a toy," and then all of these office supplies that realize that they're just office supplies, and they, I guess, wake up from the dream and they're all dead. They are just. It suddenly is just a bunch of pictures of office supplies that are no longer their fantasy selves.
If it's going to be a Pixar movie, we're going to need at least one mom with a dump truck ass.
A heart-shaped dumper, as Mr. Norton once said.
Oh, that was one of my favorite lines of his too.
That's an old line from I think that's from an album, from like his first album when he's talking about eating an ass after a bike ride. That was a phrase that, yeah, stuck in my mind forever.
He has used that term multiple times, but it's always been more or less the same joke.
I mean, his entire career is the same joke. Not to be
It
too
really is.
critical of Jim Norton.
His entire career is jokes about him trying to stuff his nose in someone's ass crack.
Who might potentially be transgendered.
He doesn't judge. Well, I mean, he does. He judges based on how heart shaped that dumper is, but that's the only consideration.
I don't want to go way too far off of a limb, but I would like to propose that potentially somewhere down the road, because if you think genuinely about the type of person that would have been a Jim Norton or an Opie and Anthony fan, I think that there's a strong possibility that Jim Norton was actually a broad gateway to a lot of ignorant people opening up their mind about transgender people.
Yeah, that tracks.
He's like the Daryl Davis of the trans community.
Yeah, I don't have any pushback against that. That's probably correct. The way the way he's so blasé about his adventures with trans hookers.
I mean, I also imagine that somebody who is very passionate about the topic would say that he normalized an attitude that was toxic and continued to simply make humor out of what could be construed as like transphobic, I guess, humor. But I think he normalized people being comfortable with it. So that's my opinion.
At the very least, to normalize people being comfortable with sexualizing them, which isn't perfect.
Yeah. You know, it's
Good.
minute pushes of the
I mean, we can't deny that he was a bit of a pervy dude.
a little creep.
He is a little creep. Who are we kidding?
Who are we kidding?
Sorry, Jimmy. I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
No, Statler and Waldorf over here. Okay. We are ringer.
They were always my favorite.
The best. We should have a Statler and Waldorf bit at some point. We should have them as guests.
Either that or we need to be sitting in their seat and start taking pot shots at someone else's show and laughing.
Oh, I like that. I like that. And I think maybe we should also have some sort of MST3K episode as well.
I want to steal their niche, and I love Mystery Science Theater 3000. So, I mean, I spent a lot of university just running commentary during class like that.
Yeah, that's actually
My grades showed it too.
Maybe they could be combined. It's us doing Statler and Waldorf commentary over like a B movie silhouette.
Well, to Statler and Waldorf, at first we're gonna have to actually whip a couple of zingers at them and just plain make fun of it directly. And then if we're gonna do the Mystery Science Theater thing, then we have to start getting into more in-depth commentary.
Yeah, I guess so. Table it. I'm on the premises.
They're easy to do alone. It might be a little bit more challenging to do them together, but it can be done. It's probably going to have to be one leads into the other.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. We are in a psychiatrist's
We are
office.
in therapy.
Straight woman is straight woman. She's not another type of being.
No, and she's also not somebody else in a disguise. She's a real therapist, really there. So she's not gaslighting somebody who's talking about their gaslighting.
She truly cares and she's truly trying to figure this out.
Like a good therapist.
Yeah.
Like most people who are therapists.
I enjoy, you know, that I saw a meme, you know, the Ben Affleck having a smoke meme.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody posted that saying my therapist after my therapy session or whatever.
No.
And my opinion is kind of like, if that's not everybody's therapist after their therapy session, then the therapist probably isn't doing their job right.
Yeah, not to mention, if that's not your therapist after your therapy session, you probably don't actually need therapy.
No.
Like, I understand getting help with small things, but you should be dumping heavy stuff on your therapist.
Yeah. If you need better help, use BetterHelp. Go to betterhelp.com/Tucker and Todd. And I'm just kidding. Nobody will sponsor us.
Oh, nope, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Use therapists for what they actually trained for. PSA. I don't care. Soapbox, whatever.
Yeah, there's almost none of them, and there's tons of people who need help who can't get it because people who don't really need. You know what? I'm not even going to go there because I'm sure pretty much everybody who goes to a therapist needs therapy, and most people who do need therapy don't go to a therapist. You know what? This isn't that kind of show.
No, we get this very serious conversation. I'll see if this. Yeah, okay. Yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got here.
Okay.
This is a serious therapist. She wants to help. Who is our protagonist? It is a high fantasy creature.
Oh.
Is that how we
Well,
take this?
if he's going to be a high fantasy creature, then it's going to be some kind of reference to Dobby the house elf because he was fucking oppressed.
Oh, interesting.
Not that means that anti-imperialism needs to be a Malfoy.
Well, no, yeah, that made me curious about how much conversation there actually is about
Socks.
socks.
Yeah, I've seen every single one of those films, just saying.
The socks are magical.
One sock. It only took one sock.
Yeah, because Hermione had her liberation movement.
What?
Oh, in one, I think it's the 4th or the 5th book, Hermione starts like a whole like house elf liberation front sort of thing. campaigning to free all house elves because they're oppressed.
Well, they pretty clearly were, so she was right.
Yeah, because they were enslaved.
Yeah, they tried to kind of create a clear distinction between indentured servitude and slavery, and the harder they try, the clearer it becomes that there isn't a distinction.
Or do we take this kind of literal? I mean, I'm calling it literal, but it is technically more abstract, I guess. And the nephew is, because they're, race stuff. Fuck off, race stuff.
Race stuff, you cannot fuck race stuff fucks you.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, is he just a nephew? Everybody's white in our world. The Simpsons did it right and made everybody yellow, except for the one brown guy.
To be fair, in our world, we happen to have that one brown guy.
Yeah, that'd be kind of funny if he came back and he's like, no, I'm just playing a role.
You want to bring him back for this?
That would be pretty funny if we brought back an Indian guy and somebody was like, wait, are you guys? And we're like, no, wait. And he's like, no, I'm just playing a role. I'm an actor.
Oh, man. You know what? Maybe we should make it an animal. We've already done Miranda.
Right. It's literally a Bambi.
Yeah, a camel might be on the nose, but I'm sure we can do something else. And maybe Bambi is the right choice.
And then is anti-imperialism a hunter then to represent the gun love? Are we doing the right thing here?
No.
A hunter and a deer?
No, because it was. Let's try to remember the message is about gaslighting rather than hunting.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It was about pretending to introduce stability while it was really just exploitation.
Oh, so is anti-imperialism works on a quote unquote ethical feedlot or whatever? Like they're raising deer to kill them. Is it cows and farmers?
If we're gonna do that, we should probably do cows or pigs.
Interesting. Well, we already do have a cow. Is this Miranda's sister who disappeared and was disappeared in the noir?
You know what? I don't think I don't see a single good reason why it shouldn't be.
Okay, and so this is.
I love that we have a library of characters to just select from now.
I know
You don't really have to create new ones very often.
We have so many ones that get slotted in. Okay, so this is the cows, the sister, the sibling character that we barely established, and because we said that she got lured away, so maybe she was getting groomed and gaslit by Auntie Imperialism.
Now, are they being slaughtered, or are we going to use the sort of symbolism of them all getting milked?
Well, I mean, some are getting milked and some are getting slaughtered. It's a whole farm.
Right. Then we'll go with that.
I mean, and
Miranda's sister here, did we ever even name her?
I don't think we did.
She's getting milked. She's
been getting milked. Okay, interesting. So is she in therapy because she misses getting milked?
No, oh shit. Why is she in therapy? I mean, obviously she's aware that something's not quite right.
Well, because Anti-Imperialism left. She's abandoned her.
Ah, so she's feeling, oh wow, it's like in the Poughkeepsie tapes.
What's
the whole, that was a horror movie about a serial killer, but one of his victims was kept in his custody for a long time, and then she was found alive, and she was so warped at that point that she was no longer capable of thinking for herself, and eventually she killed herself.
Oh.
It was really awful, super disturbing, super awful. But the point was that she was once this oppressive force was gone, she was totally lost because she had become so completely conditioned,
right,
that she was no longer capable of thinking for herself.
That's kind of what I'm saying here.
And so she was lost and miserably depressed and completely out of sorts. And if anything, that's the kind of thing that will drive somebody into therapy. Once the oppressing force is gone, some people will need help.
I mean, there's a pop psychology term for that when you fall in love with your captor.
Yeah, it was Stockholm Syndrome.
Stockholm Syndrome. Is that technically what that is? Like becoming lost and not knowing what to do without this, without the lifeline of your captor?
Now, on the one hand, she did kind of seem to be like in some kind of her trauma eventually manifested in like this idea of romance with this guy, that they would be together and she would be all right
Right.
again. But on the other hand, it was also just she was so thoroughly traumatized that from his intense level of control over every single aspect of her existence for an extended period of time, that she had stopped being the parts of her mind that were capable of self-determination were just no longer functioning.
Yeah. Oh god damn, this is a dark one. Okay, let's make it funny. We've established our cow scenario, and it's a farm, and this is becoming even more lovely to call it to the farm system that it is, the whole war machine.
Yeah, yeah, it's almost comfortable, which is exactly the joke we want. Is that we're joking that it's been so comfortable for the last 20 years to
Yeah.
pretend that it was just a cute little farm.
Oh, that's interesting. Do we represent? So does anti-imperialism? Is she sort of a pop mythological character in her own right? Is the anti-imperialism's farm sort of a theme park, and everybody thinks it's fun, and that is the facade, and then it falls over.
Oh, maybe it's well, not a theme park, but maybe it's a petting zoo.
Okay, yeah, petting zoo. So it is comfy and snuggly and warm and lovely.
Yes, it provides everybody else with this sort of false face of stability and kindness
Interesting.
that things are being made better for those inside the petting
Right,
zoo,
it's a place
in
where
the inside the farm,
it
that it's a refuge, a haven, a place of stability that's improving quality of life.
yeah, it is a family-friendly place where you can bring everybody down, and it also stimulates the economy. Everybody comes and drops their money on it. They buy their ice cream cones and their parking tickets and their water blaster tokens and whatever. They just dump their money there all day, and everybody comes and they pet the animals, and it all seems so nice. But at night, the animals go get milked and slaughtered, and it's a horror show.
An absolute horror show. Also, there's probably at least one employee there named Blackwater who fucking abuses the animals.
Oh, interesting. There's Blackwater, and there's also the training. There's the academy, where employees get trained.
Oh yeah, trained.
Trained, quote unquote.
They're deeply cynical.
Have you seen the Simpsons intro that Banksy produced? The couch scene.
I don't believe I have.
Okay, I'm gonna send you that one real quick.
Oh yay, homework. I love being assigned homework.
It's only a minute and
That's
44
not a joke. I haven't been assigned real homework in like a decade.
seconds. Yeah, no kidding.
Sometimes I miss it when people just give me stuff to do.
I mean, this is sort of a little bit kind of what we're talking about. This couch scene.
All right, I'm gonna give it a look. I see it.
Yeah.
It's just a picture on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course all the bones. Yep, this is what our farm is.
Yeah.
This is our farm. This is wonderful. And what do you think would happen to this situation if everybody who was in charge simply packed up and left, but left all of the toxic waste, all of the guns? I'm sure there are guns in there somewhere.
Probably. That's how they keep the unicorns in place.
I especially like the panda. I find it hard to believe that a dolphin's head is more expensive or less expensive than tape, though.
Yeah, if you really think about, well, if you think, I mean, I guess maybe that might have been the point of that scene was if you think about how many oxen and horses and donkeys actually went into producing all that tape,
Fair.
and cartilage in general, pigs and all of that shit.
I'll remember that the next time I use any adhesive.
You do a little sign of the cross.
I'm gonna personally thank the tape for its sacrifice.
Thank you, Papa's mustache. Thank you, Mr. Jeebles. Thank you, Grand Chahi.
Just going to assume that nothing was harmed in the creation of this Werther's original that I'm enjoying.
Oh, wait a second. I don't know. Is there gelatin in hard candy? That's
Don't even start.
okay.
Don't.
I'm
Don't
not.
you ruin this for me. This one's coffee flavored. It's all I have left in my life.
It's only dead animals if it's gummy.
That mean that Does that mean like gummy edibles are dead animals?
I mean, if they use gelatin, yeah.
We use gelatin in our whipped cream. It actually stops it from melting.
Well, I mean, it also stops donkeys from melting.
Oh, but I mean for real, it's actually add gelatin to your whipped cream recipe.
That's interesting. I never knew.
It will stay firm. Like it'll still be whipped cream, but it won't start to like droop and drip, and it'll stay pretty.
I feel like this is getting suggestive.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, the farm is a fucking sweatshop.
Yeah, our sweatshop farm, anti-imperialisms. I love this so much. This feels very clever to me. I mean, technically, wait a second. What's that goddamn Animal Farm book? That guy already did this.
I thought Animal Farm was an allegory for Stalinism.
Oh, okay. Well, then we're fine.
Yes, this is, if anything, this is kind of like anti-global capitalist.
Yeah, which is the subtitle of the Tucker and Todd show. So Cowbell's sister, which oh, maybe it's not her sister. Maybe it's her cousin from Jersey. She's a Jersey cow. We just call her Jersey cow, and she has a. Wait, 1 second. Let me find the accent.
You're gonna have to figure that out if you want to do it. My recommendation: watch the Jersey Shore. Pick one of them. My recommendation is do Snooki.
Snooki. I was gonna base it off. One of the girls from watching. One of the hookers from Forrest Gump. She says, "That's Times Square. We was just there."
That was eerie. I'm gonna make you. You're gonna do that voice again for me later.
$12 an hour.
That's why we have the phone sex section.
We do have the administrator only phone sex section.
So $12. But we should probably go back to therapy.
Probably, and I think that now that we've given her a silly voice, that will really help. It's not a voice that I don't think, unless you were listening to it thinking that it would turn her into a clown character. We do want her to be sympathetic, but it also removes some of the gravity of the entire scene.
Well, yeah, and if at any point we need gravity, straight woman can deliver it.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
because she'll be played straight. She's gonna be serious.
And I mean, yeah.
So when the Jersey cow says, "Oh well, I want them to take my milkies," then straight woman can actually say something serious in response to that.
I want them to take my milkies.
It was your idea that she misses being milked.
You want some milkies?
Come and get your milkies.
Come and get your milkies. Okay, yes. So the cow then, the Jersey cow then is aware that she's there to discuss missing the oppressor. And then having the discussion about the oppressor, telling these stories about being milked. And so she's probably also making excuses saying, "Oh no, but during the day, all these people would come and it was so full of love." Like she's in denial, right?
Does she immediately declare that she misses her oppressor, or does she simply declare that she is feeling aimless and lost and unsure of what to do with herself, and straight woman kind of has to guide her into the realization that she is harboring feelings of loss towards her oppressor? Or do we even want to go down that route, that we could try to legitimize feeling alone without anti-imperialism?
I mean, I think it's a legitimate paradox of like humanity to sort of, it's valid to like,
it is valid to miss something that you've become familiar with.
Yeah,
that's natural, that's human.
And
even if that thing you're familiar with was terrible,
right? And I wouldn't want to make fun of it, and I don't want to gloss over it. So like I don't want to ignore it and pretend it's not a reality.
You're right.
So I think, yeah.
So instead, we're just going to make it fun.
I mean, should we figure out right now what the ultimate punchline of all this would be so that we know that we're heading towards something comfortable?
Oh, yeah. We should probably have a finish line somewhere. Because right now we're just bumbling through. We're not quite sure where we're going.
Well, I mean, the premise is very compelling, and I think that we have dressed it up as best as we possibly can. Now, ultimately, we are making fun of anti-imperialism. does she need to get a comeuppance in order for us to justify this entire thing?
What comeuppance do you think would be appropriate?
I mean, when I say the word comeuppance and I'm imagining this character, like it's cartoonish in my mind. Like I'm imagining a woman like through a painting or like stuck in a tire or something like that. But it obviously needs to be it needs to be worse. Should it be worse?
So anti-imperialism should get stuck in one of her own milking machines?
Oh, that's interesting. And could it then become supernatural at that point? Like, does it become representative that like, do we take as much out of her as a single entity as was taken of the entire people of the cows?
Oh, and do we then spread it amongst all the people in a thinly veiled allegory for, democratic socialism?
Hmm.
The answer to that is no, because everybody's super angry about what they call socialism right now, even though they clearly don't know what the fuck socialism is.
Socialism is evil, obviously.
Oh, obviously, that's just healthcare and stuff. Evil. Who wants healthcare? Who wants state-funded police forces and fire brigades? That's socialism. Sorry, I was about to get into a whole nother rant. We should probably back up again.
The slope. The slope is it's a double-edged, slippery sword.
I like that. I like the
That's
way you
going.
said those words.
It's going in the premises.
A double-edged, slippery sword. That's the most dangerous kind.
It is because if you start slipping down one way, it cuts you in half, and if you slide down the other way, it cuts you in half.
And it's slippery, so there's no reliable way to stop yourself from sliding down it.
No, and if you reach out to Jesus,
Steady yourself.
I couldn't decide between steady or stabilize, and obviously stabilize is cumbersome and awful, so we need to go with steady. But I could not commit.
Yeah. For this, we're gonna stabilize the whole sentence by using the word steady.
Stabilize the structure of the steady statement. Who's drinking bourbon now?
Oh, okay, fine.
Just me.
Just you.
You've got wine.
And way too many of these Werther's originals.
That sounds like a fun time.
They're coffee flavored.
If you start sliding down one side of the double-edged sword, you reach out to steady yourself and it cuts your hands off.
So we've got no hands and we're cut in half.
Yeah.
Anyway, where were we before I started getting before I became literally Karl Marx?
We were going to try to come up with a comeuppance for imperialism.
Right. Anti-imperialism gets stuck in a milking machine.
So here's the thing. When it comes to these kinds of things, I sort of tend to want to end it with a like nihilistic joke. I wrote sort of like a children's story recently about like controlled speech and people electing governments to abuse them and use them. And one person proposes or one character proposes, hey, maybe we should try a community-based approach where we actually like take accountability for ourselves and stop expecting like psychopaths to go behind closed doors and make decisions for us. And somebody yells, nah, that's stupid. And then they live miserably ever after. Like I sort of
that's at least slightly less nihilistic than what I was thinking, which is like somebody was going to have that guy black bagged and shot for being a subversive.
I'm thinking
there's a subversive citizen. Time to do something.
I sort of think that's how this should end. Does it end totally nihilistically? Nobody wins. The imperialism stays in power, or do we give a sliver of hope?
I think that it probably should mirror at least how things really will probably go, which is imperialism is alive and well, and it's just going to brush this one off. But I think the cracks should start showing because they are definitely beginning to show.
And so ultimately, if we do stay true to form, then so the cracks show. But I guess ultimately the joke is on the tourists, the patrons who go to imperialism land.
That's actually kind of the saddest part of the joke is that everybody else kind of pays for it.
Ooh, here's a thought. Okay, so do all of the cows have a brand on them? And there's some point at which the patrons of imperialism land kind of think that the brand is cute. It's literally a brand, Okay, it's a brand, it's a logo, and it's a brand, but it's on them as a cow is branded. And then as the guests are all leaving, we see that they have the brand on the back of their neck, but they don't realize it.
Or do they get smacked on the wrist with like one of those sticker things that lets them get back in?
Oh,
Only it doesn't. Only it doesn't wash off.
right. But it's in the it's the logo of the brand, and it's not actually burned into them as the cows.
Yes.
So they think it's not the same, but it is the same thing.
Yes. Exactly. It's the same logo. It's the same brand. It gets put on. They think it's a mark of like privilege, but it's the exact same brand.
Yeah.
It's ownership.
Enter American flag, enter eagle, enter hot dog.
Yeah, we're gonna have to pick the symbol very carefully if we're gonna do that one.
I mean, I imagine it has something to do with the cows. It has something to do with milking or dairy or something like that.
So it's another booby joke.
Oh, it's an udder?
I mean, it's either that or we're gonna just try to joke about American imperialism with the whole just it's the A, and I would never do that to the Avengers.
I kind of like the idea that they literally make the symbol the resource.
I mean, that would be funny. And the only way there's two ways you can do that. You can either do the udder, which symbolizes just the milk. Maybe there's a third way because I guess you could do like a symbol of just a T-bone steak, but that's a little bit unnecessarily grisly. There's no way it would pass peer review. But another thing you could do is just kind of like a steer head, just like a black flat image of like the longhorn steer.
Yeah, something like that, which is almost already literally a symbol of some of those people.
Yeah, it kind of is.
But I kind of like the
And
idea of
I live in cattle country, so they're
yeah, so we know them. They're here.
just not the longhorns, but they're here.
But I kind of like, I know we're not doing Stalinism or the USSR or anything, but I kind of like the idea of instead of a hammer and sickle, it's an udder and T-bone steak.
Oh, when you said hammer and sickle, I went back to hot dog and I was thinking about what would pair with it to be just like a symbol of American excess.
Oh, a hamburger and hot dog. I mean, those are
Either that or like a martini glass or a bottle of beer or something. No, fuck, never mind. I'm an idiot. It would obviously be a soda.
A soda and a cigarette.
Well, I was thinking a hot dog and a soda, but it could be any of these things so long we don't care what you eat so long as you eat too much.
Soda's not a bad idea though, just to point out, because the whole refined sugar industry is a scam also.
And it's so bad for you.
Have I talked recently about how I learned what diabetes actually is, and I'm mad that my parents and grandparents never actually taught me?
No, but I'd love to hear all about that. Tell us about that diabetes.
I don't know whether it's one or two, but it's the one that you get if you weren't born with it and you eat too much sugar. So literally, sugar kills your nerves. Did you know that sugar kills your nerves?
If you can't absorb it and metabolize it with insulin, sugar will cause havoc to your body. And if you have too much of it, you will eventually tire out your pancreas and it will not want to make much insulin for you anymore. Turns out your body parts are a lot like car parts in that they have mileage and eventually they run out of juice.
Exactly. And so having gone through existential self-loathing periods of what you referred to as dismissive disregard for well-being, I went through periods of like, oh fuck it, I'll just have all the sugar. And a little recently I felt my fingers tingling and I thought, what is fingers tingling? So I looked it up and it said diabetes. So I've stopped consuming all sugar just in case. I don't even want to go to the doctor yet, but I've researched it and come to the conclusion that my grandmother who had diabetes was a piece of shit for not educating her family on what it is.
Diabetes is probably one of those things that actually does warrant a large awareness campaign, but the thing is the refined sugar industry wouldn't allow it.
It's a fucking meme, Wilford Brimley. We joke about diabetes. We think it's a funny thing.
And that's exactly what the refined sugar industry wants, is for us to not take it seriously.
I just came to that conclusion. I just realized that's probably like a fucking Black Ops thing. PsyOps.
They created the meme.
You know what, dude? I'm right this very moment convinced they did.
Whether they created it or not is irrelevant because they still benefit from it.
Of course.
And the whole nobody generally knows what causes any of the forms of diabetes, just as like a general layman's thing. However, just so you know, tingling fingers can be a lot of things, or it can be nothing. That said, cutting sugar down or out, it can never be anything but a net gain for you anyway. So do it anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
And to all the kids at home, have less sugar. Holy shit, your older self will thank you for it.
yeah. This has been an interesting episode of public service announcements and discussions of all sorts of things.
And railing against oppression and advocating for, better education regarding things like, I don't know, social economics.
Yeah. Okay. Regardless of what
Yeah, let's get back to the jokes where we're just not improving anything.
regardless of what oh, I will say one thing that I appreciate. I was watching a documentary about the New York hardcore scene recently, and I can't remember who it was. One of the lead singers of I think Earth Crisis maybe was talking about
Okay, you had me at a totally different kind of hardcore, and I'm glad we turned away from that.
not hardcore porn, hardcore punk. Was just talking about how
Yeah, good. I'm glad because that ruins people's brains in a whole different way.
up until the New York hardcore scene, a lot of punk music was all about just kind of like complaining about the problems of the world. And New York hardcore scene wanted to start writing lyrics where they were proposing how to go about changing things rather than just complaining about them. And so I wanted to make a little shout out to people who try to propose changes rather than just complaining about things. Anyways,
You mean like people who actually want to be constructive rather than just destructive?
yeah.
I have nothing but respect for anybody who actually has a plan for what to put in the place of anything they want torn down. Everybody says smash the control machine, but nobody seems to have any idea of what to put in its place. And it always just ends up being another control machine.
All we know is control machines.
Yes, and I'm starting to think that's just a part of our life cycle is to build it, let it go completely out of control, and then rise up and destroy it and start over.
Experiment after experiment.
Well, yeah, I assume we get a little bit better at it each time.
It seems that way. I don't know. We don't have pyramids, but we also don't have resonance healing. So I don't actually know where we are.
What's resonance healing?
It is a operating theory of what the Egyptian pyramids were used for because they're constructed in such a way that sound emanates through the chambers and channels inside of the pyramids in such a way that some gray science theorists proposed that they were using the energy from the sound waves to heal internal ills.
Maybe, or they were just great big tombs, and the fact that air moves funny inside of them is a weird coincidence.
Maybe great big tombs, and that's how stupid they were.
Maybe everybody responsible for their construction was dead for a really long time, so we can't ask anybody.
I mean, Tucker and Todd could. They have a time machine.
I want to go back and ask somebody and be told that it's none of my fucking business.
Oh no! Well, now I'm really curious. Why is it none of my business?
And then we have no answer at all, but we asked.
Oh, that's true. What I was going to propose was that Hitler went back in time and the whole pyramid thing was actually his scheme because he said, we got to get in on this early.
Wow, he wasn't kidding about early.
Yeah.
So that was one of his Thule Society things, and actually the pyramids are magic, and it was supposed to be a super weapon, and it didn't work.
Oh, is that like a Death Star allegory? Whatever. No, coming back to therapy.
Did the rebels build the Death Star?
Who built the Death Star?
I'm gonna assume it was Imperial citizens who were paid and then kind of held at blaster point.
Oh, you just made a good point. I got lost. I was trying to remember what we're actually this is Clerks that we're doing right now, and as I was trying to remember if it was Clerks or what it was, I forgot that the Rebels and the Imperials are not the same thing.
No, they're very much not.
Would there have been
anti-imperialism's Death Star was bad.
Yes.
And the rebels blew it up twice.
Anti-imperialism's Death Star. Would there have been rebel slaves that were in the construction crews though? Or was it all happy imperialists?
Maybe there would have been. I don't know if there was ever like any canonically accepted reference to captured rebels being used as slaves. I don't know if any were really kept alive. If they were valuable, they were used as bargaining chips. If they weren't valuable, I don't know if they were taken prisoner.
Right. But we do know that slave labor exists canonically.
Well, yeah, Star Wars is
Annie, I'm back. You forgot about me. I was cut out of the last episode.
Whoa, man! Anyway, Star Wars is a big galaxy,
Yeah.
which means that it like unless slavery is 0% in its occurrence in the entire galaxy, then there's going to be at least some somewhere.
Sure. But
Anyway, where were we? Dealing with anti-imperialism and her Death Star.
yeah, her Death Star, the funny farm, was not built by the cows that live in it, though.
No, it was not. It was in fact built by a bunch of anti-imperialism's representatives, and it was definitely built in such a way that it pretty much made sure that the cows grew dependent on it, or at least comfortable enough that in its absence it would cause pangs of loss.
Right. Is
Oh,
there...
of course, as soon as all of the fences are gone, like a legion of wolves show up and start eating everybody.
Are the wolves the employees at the petting zoo?
But they're leaving.
Right. Yeah, right. They are leaving. But yeah, so are the wolves... Do we see the wolves just like on the fringes, just outside of view, or do they come out of nowhere?
Several times we can see employees at the farm gun down a few wolves.
Oh, I like that. That's great.
And in fact, some of them can take really inappropriate pictures with them.
They're doing like trophy photos.
Absolute bastards.
They're all blurred.
So yeah, trophy photos, all of that, just terrible. And at least one of them gets caught waterboarding a wolf.
Oh, wait a second. This is okay. I like that a lot, actually.
But it's so horrible.
But I mean, the reality is horrible.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, do we have a death squad then? Do they go into like a little den of a bunch of baby puppies and they just pepper spray, or not pepper spray, but they pepper the puppies? Wolf cubs?
Wolf pups.
Yeah, wolf pups.
I mean, I don't see why not. Just go right on into their cave and flamethrower the whole thing.
And then they put like a poster up at the petting zoo, like celebrating how they murdered a bunch of wolf pups. Oh my god, it's so dark, but it's real.
It is real, and that is the sort of thing that would go up at this farm. It would be like a propaganda poster. We're keeping you safe.
And they make a movie about the murder of the wolf pups.
And in that movie, they justify waterboarding the other wolf.
And then they make a second installment in a parody series about going to the war prison where they waterboard wolf pups.
Do they waterboard wolf pups or just full-grown wolves?
Well, I guess it's
how terrible do we want? Do they waterboard children in Guantanamo Bay?
I don't think so. Oh, I mean, I would have to imagine that some of the people in Guantanamo Bay are like 17 or 18, and technically we could consider them children, but not children, no.
You know what? I don't think I'm actually prepared to declare that there are no children in Guantanamo Bay.
I couldn't say. I mean, maybe those other photos come out because the other ones are worse. I don't know.
Oh, maybe they're released as a form of damage control.
I mean, I always assume everything is damage
Bait and
control.
switch.
I assume anybody appearing in front of the news is damage control all the time.
Everything that actually gets out is what they've allowed to get out to draw suspicion away from something else.
I would like to remind everyone at every moment, at all times, Prince Andrew is the least of the royal family's worries.
I like how that just came out of there. Just like, where'd that, out of left field, where'd that come from?
I'm referring
Vaguely.
to Prince Andrew doing a 1-hour interview about his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein and how that is obviously a cover-up for all the other shit that royal family is up to.
That's probably the tip of the iceberg when it comes to royals.
Yep. Hashtag investigate the royals.
Hashtag investigate everybody who is in power, just in general.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I like liquor
how do we
episodes.
want how do we want to progress the therapy scene towards anti-imperialism getting stuck in the milking machine?
Okay.
Briefly, anti-imperialism gets out and is fine, obviously, because imperialism continues on, but we do need the cracks to show.
Right. We need the cracks to
So I
show.
don't know, maybe that involves a scene of plumber butt.
The literal cracks to show.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody would get it.
I mean, that's sort of funny. Maybe that could be a sort of self-referential thing where we're like, we can't, there's not actually anything that we can pin on her. And so the only way that we could get cracks to show was to do a plumber butt joke. And we're like, what? We needed some sort of cracks to show.
I mean, that's the most clever way to make the cracks show that I can think of besides just having her literally start to crack. And that's just not as funny.
To have her literally crack.
Yeah, to literally start cracking like she's a piece of porcelain that got smacked with a hammer. Just like spiderwebbing cracks that progressively go up like somebody just you got a rock chip in your windshield on a hot day.
She just splits in half and a Kinder Surprise comes out.
It would frankly just be a slightly smaller anti-imperialism that quickly grows to the same size and replaces her.
Oh, interesting. I like that.
Because she'll get over it because she's got tons of imperialism.
Oh, maybe that could be a thing. So, is there maybe the cracks begin to show because this Jersey cow, after realizing with the help of therapy that there is actually kind of like something more going on, but she starts a media campaign to like hashtag bring him down or whatever, bring her down, and or hashtag show the cracks. And so there's a press conference, a news conference where they're interviewing anti-imperialism and she's in front of all of the microphones and they start really grilling her. And she literally does start to crack and maybe she does literally crack and everybody's like, oh, she's cracked. And then another anti-imperialism crawls out and grows to the same size as you just described. And that's when everybody realizes it's hopeless.
I mean, either that or once the plumber butt does show, the ass crack actually does ascend all the way up her back and then split her open like a pupa.
That would be really interesting to do to visualize and animate.
But it might be a little bit less effective than starting a media campaign and starting to grill her.
I like the idea, and then I mean we can demonstrate. Okay, and then we can make a commentary on the media as well. Then in this case,
Yes.
so we can everybody does their outrage, and everybody's attracted to the story, and everybody wants to talk about it for half a second, and then maybe
Well, that's exactly the thing is it peters out. It kind of wears off. She starts getting worn down, which is where the cracks come from. But like they don't persist until she's totally shattered.
right.
They never do. The media storm always gets bored and moves on to the next thing.
Well, yeah. So does she start to crack, and then it's sort of like a prestige sort of thing, where another anti-imperialism shows up in the crowd, and everybody turns around and looks at her, and then the other one disappears.
See, I
Everybody
like
gets
that. I like that film, but I don't know if that's how we should do this. I do like the idea that she just kind of. I see what she should do is basically do a shitty YouTube apology, which is how she finishes doing the cracking and then hatches.
Okay, so as she's making the apology, she starts cracking. A couple people in the crowd are like, "Do you see that? She's cracking." And then she splits open, and then the kind of sheds her snake skin, and she's just another one there. Maybe her hair is a different color, and then everybody is immediately like hypnotized by her voice again.
Yeah, they're all placated because she's there. They assume that she's gonna do better now because
She changed.
she's apologized and now she's going to immediately start behaving differently.
Which is sort of a commentary on how literally Biden came out and said, "I did this, that, and the other, and aren't I better than the other president? Aren't I a good president? Pat me on the head, and I've changed." And everybody goes, "Hey, America's changed."
Well, I mean, he's objectively a better president, but I think a monkey with a typewriter would have been objectively a better president.
I think if you hold that position, you're a clown.
Which position? The presidency or the position that a monkey with a typewriter would be a
Oh,
better president?
no, the presidency, any position of power. I think if you aspire to direct, govern, and lead people, then you're a clown and your brain is broken.
Oh, yeah. If you aspire towards basically owning an entire country, you're probably like a human shit stain.
Yeah, and if you think that's still a good idea, you're also a human shit stain.
However, not all shit stains are equal.
No, not all shit stains are equal. Of course not. That might be a premise.
Yeah, I
I like the idea of a bunch
it
of different
kind of is.
underwears on the ground, and they've
Lewis
all got
Black.
different.
Lewis Black already did that joke where the only difference is it's two bowls of shit and the only difference is the smell.
Oh no. I was kind of envisioning where in like it's a gym locker scene and a bunch of guys have shed off their underwear and now the underwear is all laying on the floor and they're talking to each other and they've each got different levels of shit stains on them and they're trying to argue about which one is like the lesser of 17 shit stains.
Here's the thing: shit stains are objectively measurable.
Yeah, I guess so. Like one guy's obviously the worst, but nobody wants him to realize how out of control life actually is.
I like to think that most people there would have absolutely no stain whatsoever.
Does everybody not have terrible skid marks in their undies?
All I know is I don't, and if other people do, does that mean there's actually something wrong with me?
Maybe. Did you know? So I was back when I was Mr. Oppositional Defiant. People used to say opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and so I wanted to look up if everyone does actually have an asshole, just in case I could play devil's advocate and say, not everyone has an asshole. And it turns out like 0.0025% of all people are born without assholes, but there's a large majority of people with
2 hours later.
Or some kind of relationship or interaction between chromosomes.
Precisely. This part isn't in the podcast.
Yeah, I guess not.
Hey, did you know? Never mind. I don't even want to.
My answer to that isn't to go looking for who doesn't have an asshole. It's more to immediately state that that's irrelevant because not all assholes are equal.
That's true. Some are pros and some are lapsed.
Some
I'm
are
a lapsed
literally
asshole.
some are a-holes and some are b-holes. Some are
That's true.
some are just fucking f-holes. Some are barely functioning. Some could cut a cigar.
Sometimes the ones with F holes are the most resonant.
I hope somebody enjoyed that.
There's somebody like practicing violin. No, nobody who listens to our podcast plays violin. Never mind.
Never say never.
An F hole is the little hole you put in a guitar or violin to make it more resonant.
I mean, that's a lot better than fingering A minor.
Oh no.
I'm sorry. That's the only guitar joke I know.
I enjoyed fingering. No. Wait. I enjoyed
Don't
hearing
say
that
it.
joke being made.
Phew.
What I meant to say was you gave me a good idea. There should be a joke, because this is in the Tucker and Todd universe, there should be a joke about anti-imperialism having acquired she is the only person to have acquired a permit to oppress and subject the cows in such a way.
Ah, okay. So she's got a permit. She gave it to herself, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she actually, yeah, they have a whole permit printing office on site at the petting zoo.
Yeah, it's kind of like Ron Swanson's piece of paper that just says I can do what I want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So are we satisfied with the direction of the therapy?
Yes. The therapy, she first gets there, she's in denial, she needs to have it pulled out of her what exactly is going on. The therapist comes to the conclusion that she is being gaslit. As she helps her realize that she is being gaslit, she becomes enraged and she wants to fight back, and so she goes to social media and it turns into this whole campaign. Now there's an interview it's at the zoo, right? Are wolves being shot out as this press conference is going on?
Oh, it's quite possible that as this is going on, the farm is being shut down, the fences are being torn down, and the wolves are coming in and attacking cows.
Oh, this is going on with the news cameras rolling. I like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I assume that anybody being interviewed is trying to draw attention away from the massacres nearby.
I like that a lot, actually. And also, actually, yeah, this whole conference is going on. We're watching terrible atrocities kind of like going on in the background. Maybe we don't see them literally. It's blurred and there's just screams and noises. But the whole interview is actually quite drawn out, and everybody's all they're doing is asking questions about what's going on rather than actually doing anything about it.
Which means that literally everybody involved in the process is kind of complicit.
Yeah, and we can actually maybe see them kind of like twiddling their thumbs a little bit. Like you can tell that the press conference is over, but the interviewers are still trying to come up with more. The reporters, I should say, are still trying to come up with more questions. And maybe those questions we take a little stab at journalism a little bit are all very like clickbaity and fake newsy.
All I know is I would love to take pot shots at the journalism kids from down the hall.
Yeah, they're trying to drum up as much drama as possible. They're asking about like the relationship that anti-imperialism had or whatever.
Okay, so during that, what is happening to our Jersey Cows media store?
Because I feel like
Because if she had anything to say about it, they definitely wouldn't be asking questions. They would be smashing the control machine.
right. Where is she? Because she drummed them up. Wait, am I mixing?
Well, she did drum them up, but she's not necessarily directing them. She's not necessarily in control of media outlets.
Is
So
she
lots of them will show up and just start asking questions and be like, "What do you think about Jersey Cow's accusations of this, that, and the other thing?"
is she there watching the conference? Do we see her literally get eaten by a wolf as somebody is like do we see her, does she get eaten by a wolf?
She probably should, because that's the only way to stop her. And in fact, I'm not sure that anti-imperialism shouldn't have like a direct causal link to Jersey Cow getting eaten by a wolf.
Oh, interesting.
Like, I don't know, maybe she gets accidentally shot in the leg and left for the wolves.
I like utilizing the left for the wolves. Is that technically an idiom? I don't know what idioms are.
Yeah, I believe that is an idiom.
She gets left for the wolves by oh, maybe Jersey Cow doesn't go directly to the media. Maybe Jersey Cow goes to anti-imperialism to confront her, and anti-imperialism gaslights her once again and says, "I know what we need to do. We need to call a press conference and address this right away." And then during that press conference, that's when she allows Jersey Cow to be shot, and then we watch anti-imperialism leave her for the wolves.
Interesting. And then, of course, but then we still need the media storm to kind of crack her. So there still needs to be like some kind of
Okay,
minimum
I got
level
it.
of scrutiny.
There's the level of scrutiny happens. She gets cracked. The skin falls apart, and the new one is there. And then the new one, as the media is celebrating, it's like they are now being placated, and they're like, "Oh, everything is fine. Everything is great." As they're all kind of like patting themselves on the back. That's when anti-imperialism leans over to Jersey Cow and says, like, kind of whatever her menacing kind of like whispers into her ear. You like. I may look different, but I've never changed, blah, 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 blah. And that's what leaves her stun locked. And then as she's stun locked, she backs up into the wolves or something like that.
But that doesn't have enough of a direct link to anti-imperialism making it happen.
Does she need to like shove her off of the stage that they're on while everybody's distracted or something like that?
Some kind of subtle maneuver that almost guarantees that Jersey Cow is going to fall into this swarm of wolves. I mean, it doesn't quite have to be like an overt shove, but it should be like I don't know, maybe an elbow or hey, what's that, bunk?
Oh, maybe she pulls out. She's got like she reveals. So when I say she, anti-imperialism like make some sort of gesture with a milking. She's got a milking device hidden under the dais or the podium or whatever. She makes a threat with one of the devices that was used to oppress Jersey Cow in the past. She's got a prod, or maybe it's a representation. It's the brand, so that we hit home with that brand a little bit harder. I don't know. Oh, she has the brand. She like
Yeah, I don't see why not. It should be the brand. That's fine.
they're on some sort of stage, and she sort of she kind of like jabs threateningly toward her with the brand, and Jersey Cow takes a step backwards to dodge it and falls backwards off of the stage into the wolves.
That seems like a good example of sabotage.
Yeah. Like basically a message of like a you can't escape the brand.
I mean, you can't. But yes, it anti-imperialism definitely needs to have a direct sort of hand in the end of the Jersey Cow.
We play it out like Lion King. There's like a ravine full of stampeding wolves, and anti-imperialism holds her over the cliffside and then lets her fall.
Oh, interesting. Well, then we can have the scene where she's like, oops, where she pretends to try to rescue the Jersey Cow, but actually lets her fall, and then maybe spins that for the media too.
Oh, that's sort of
It was an
interesting.
accident. We lost her. She's a martyr now.
So are they maybe?
We now need to build 10 new farms.
Oh, hey. Yeah, and she all of a sudden gets a whole bunch of contracts for a whole bunch of new farms. That is how it will go.
I mean, that's probably exactly how it's going to go.
And so are they not on a stage? Are they on some sort of attraction that's at the petting zoo that's much higher up so that we can play out sort of like a grab her to save her thing and then let her go while she whispers in her ear, I was planning to let you go?
Yeah, like I'm not sure how we would string together the location, but I'm sure we can.
Well, you know how I'm going to look up the term for it. They could be giving a speech from like the second floor of a barn because they are on a farm.
But this is a super farm, so it might be a super barn, so it might be a big one with like fancy plate glass windows up top.
That's true. This is part of the whole military industrial complex. So maybe they even have just like fancy, maybe they're in like an atrium in the corporate building.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Why not go all the way?
Yeah, why not? I like the idea of doing the big glass atrium as well. This is $1 trillion enterprise.
At minimum.
Okay, so they're on some sort of catwalk system, and that's what the wolves are all circling below, and then she stun locks Jersey Cow, and Jersey Cow is about to fall off the deck, and she reaches over to save her, and then doesn't save her.
Oopsie.
Oopsie.
And then of course the first person to say that it was a tragic accident is going to be anti-imperialism. Immediately pretending that that was an accident and that she was responsible for that accident, kind of immediately wipes clean everything else.
It would be kind of, maybe does she actually reference, oh, well, now that we've had a tragic accident, if you could please move over to conference room B for our news conference, for our tragic news conference or whatever. She's like, they had a room set up to do the tragic accident conference.
Just kind of slyly suggesting that the entire thing was premeditated.
Yeah, it's all catered.
Yeah, we have an entire presentation prepared for you there.
They've got the memorial photo set up.
All of it is there, and it's playing music.
Actually, maybe we make a little reference to that earlier in when Jersey Girl first shows up and is being kind of like shown her cues and where to stand. She sees the room as they're setting up with the memorial photo and maybe the open casket or whatever, and she's like, "What's that?" And somebody quickly closes the door. Nothing. Don't over here.
Oh, I like that. What does the audience get to see though? That maybe the Jersey Cow didn't.
Oh no, I'm not sure who saw what.
Well, then maybe we see exactly as much as she did, which is just the casket.
We see the little easel thing or whatever that's called that the photo is set up on, but there's the sheet over top of it, so you don't see what the photo is.
So yeah, okay, yeah, yes, that.
I don't know what that's called. I'm calling it an easel, but it's not.
I would call it a stand.
A photo stand. It's in the lectern family.
I mean, this is English. It probably does have its own name.
Yeah. There's too many words in the English language. Do you think you know 100,000 words? I was trying to think about that the other day.
Yes, probably. Do I use that many? No.
No, but I'm not sure if I know 100,000. I bet you I know 20,000.
I'll bet you I know 300,000 and I use 5,000.
It would be what an experiment. I wonder if anybody's done that experiment.
Count their entire vocabulary?
Yeah.
How do you know what words you don't know?
Check it out.
How do you know what words you don't know? How do you know what words you don't know?
Yeah, at a certain point, I'm going to start looking them up and ticking them off on a checklist, so I don't know.
And then you wind up with like a confirmation bias, kind of, because you're like, oh, I know that word. Do you really know the word if you don't know what it means?
Well, this is now a philosophical discussion that I'm not comfortable to get into.
If you don't know how to use a word, you know a sound, but not a word.
Right. What's nephrology?
That's the medical specialization related to kidneys.
I know, you tested me on that one last time. What's a hepatectomy?
I still don't know, and I couldn't be arsed to look it up.
It's taking out a liver, and that's why that's a joke.
That is kind of a joke.
It's not delivery, it's hepatectomy.
We're gonna deliver you.
No, you're gonna hepatoctomize me.
Yeah, yeah. Go step right up. Over here is the delivery. Okay, so we've got therapy. We've got the ensuing media storm. We've got the cracking, and then the rebirth, and then the cunning assassination slash martyrdom of the Jersey cow, followed by a big plea for sympathy and a whole bunch of additional new contracts as the anti-imperialism is effectively reborn and made more powerful for it.
Yeah, I mean the Jersey cow is sort of martyred. I guess she's like cult martyred. There's a small group of
The idea is that she died. It's being spun by anti-imperialism that she died for the cause of the farm.
right.
That the wolves killed her, and the wolves are the enemy, and the existence of the wolves justifies the creation of more farms.
And then so she gets praised, and so even though anti-imperialism is trying is promoting holding up Jersey cow as a martyr, anti-imperialism and her whole corporation is the one that gets the glory and is on the newspaper headlines.
Yes, and it also all happens to be in direct contravention to Jersey Cow's wishes.
Yeah, amazing.
Very real.
It's pretty real.
Pretty much, just like reality, just made into fiction for some reason.
And so do we zoom out a little bit? All these newspaper headlines, we're getting even maybe a TV story from an anchor about how anti-imperialism saves the day or is on the rise or whatever, and it zooms out of the TV. And do we use this as a comment on the audience? Is the audience sitting there eating steaks and sodas?
They're definitely having a milk product of some kind. They've got steak and ice cream. I don't know.
Yes, whatever our logo, whatever the brand ended up being, they're sitting there eating those products while they watch the news, making
Yes, they are benefiting from the fruits of that farm.
yeah, and then making comments on the news about how the country's all fucked up. I wish somebody would do something about it.
Yeah, it really is terrible. I hear that one all the time. Doesn't matter who wins, we lose.
Yeah, and that's the point of this entire sketch. Everybody loses.
Yes, it is, and thank you all for tuning in. I think we've almost had our time.
I hate to say it, but we really milked this one.
Oh yeah, I guess this kind of turned out to be pretty much the whole one, although we did have a few tangents.
There were tangents. There were, I guess,
There were like 99 tangents. There were 99 tangents, 2 of which were semi-serious discussion. Both of those were somebody slammed on the brakes when we realized it wasn't funny anymore.
did happen. Hey, we've got 99 tangents and a sketch ain't one.
We've got enough for at least one sketch.
Yeah, I believe so. I liked this one. Thank you for what's the word when you not tolerate? Humor. Thank you for humoring me.
I'm super glad to have done so because this is a significant kind of topic, and the more we can make fun of it, shit, where am I going with this? The better. Like anything can be better or good about it.
Yeah, the more that we can soften the edges of the conversation, the more that we can participate in the conversation. I always want to do like hardcore topical kind of like political topics, but I also don't want to wade into that territory of sounding like we are soapboxing.
Yeah, and I'm definitely guilty of soapboxing a couple of times already.
But I think we succeeded in not sucking our own dicks on this one.
Just each other's.
Just each other's. No, 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 no.
And for at least a hot second, Jimmy's. And then we threw him under the bus.
We really did.
It's
Hey, come out into the light, Jimmy. Here, come out.
his curse around here.
Yeah, it's safe.
We tossed him off the catwalk.
I guess we did. That is sorry. We are anti-imperialism.
We are all of us together, anti-imperialism. And that's the joke. The joke's on us. We are the joke.
The joke's on us, and the joke's on you for spending 2 hours or whatever it was listening to us. But in spite of that, we thank you once again. I am Todd. Am I Todd? I forgot for a second.
Yes, sir, you are. And I am Tucker. And we both thank you all, you in particular, for tuning in tonight. I mean today.
Or yesterday.
Or, whenever you decide to tune in at all.
Yeah, that.
Thank you for making us part of your day. Hopefully it's not fucking ruined now.
Yeah. Chin up, princess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only horrible and gonna get worse and stuff. So no.
It's only horrible and going to get worse. What, should we go out on some sort of better note?
Yeah, it's not so bad because I still have a few of these Werther's originals left and no animals were harmed in the creation of this product, probably. Don't Google that though. Don't ruin my last illusion.
I won't. Actually, in quite the opposite, New Zealand is hearing the call of kiwi birds once again after 5 years of silence. So while some species are going extinct and disappearing altogether, others are coming back. So it all evens out in the end.
It's actually kind of funny. Lots of native life seems to be coming back in droves.
Yeah, all over the damn world.
How quickly do you think we're going to chop it back down now that things are opening up again?
I feel a premise coming on.
Maybe. It's just
I like the idea.
it's kind of like South Park's depiction of the Japanese whalers. Like they just come out of nowhere and just start killing everything. That's what people are like as soon as they get let out of lockdown.
Yeah, basically. I like the idea of like there's one lumberjack left. There's one human left in the world in his little lumberjack shed, and he's waiting for a sapling to grow, and he's going and he's tending to it every day, and he comes out and it finally is thick enough and he just runs out with his axe and chops it down.
Then it's the farm all over again.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. We've been Tucker and Todd. You've been an audience, and have a good night.
And this has been a show. We'll see you all later.
I almost feel like that should almost actually be the sign off of the show. We've been Tucker and Todd. You've been an audience, and this has been a show. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Eat me. Fuck Tucker. Tucker sucks. And fuck Tucker's friend, Todd.